पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ईशावास्यमिदगुं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्याञ्जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा मा गृध्ः कस्य स्विद्धनम्। ॐ कुर्वन्नेवेह कर्माणि जिजीविषेच्छतगुं समाः एवं त्वयि नान्यथेतोऽस्ति न कर्म लिप्यते नरे। असूर्यानामते लोका अन्धेन तमसावृताः तागस्ते प्रीत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये केचात्मनो जनाः। ॐ अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयो नैनन्तेवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत् तद्धावतो ज्ञानत्येति तिष्ठत्तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा दधाति। ॐ तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्दूरे तद्वान्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य ततु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः। ॐ यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मन्येवानुपश्यति सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते। ॐ यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मैवाभूद्विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोक एकत्वमनुपश्यतः। ॐ सपर्यगाच्छुक्रमकायमव्रणमस्नाविरगुं शुद्धमपापविद्धं कविर्मनीषी परिभूः स्वयं भूर्याथा तथ्यतोऽर्थान् व्यदधाच्छाश्वतीभ्यः समाभ्यः। अन्धन्तमः प्रविशन्ति ये विद्यामुपासते ततो भूय इव ते तमोय विद्याया गुंरताः। अन्यदेवाहुर्विद्ययान्यदाहुरविद्यया इति शुश्रुमधीराणान्येनस्तद्विचचक्षिरे विद्याञ्च विद्याञ्च यस्तद्विदोभयगुंसः अविद्यया मृत्युं तीर्त्वा विद्ययामृतमश्नुते। अन्धन्तमः प्रविशन्ति ये सम्भूतिमुपासते ततो भूय इव ते तमोय सम्भूत्यागुंरताः। अन्यदेवाहुः सम्भवादन्यदाहुरसम्भवात् इति शुश्रुमधीराणान्येनस्तद्विचचक्षिरे सम्भूतिं च विनाशं च यस्तद्विदोभयगुंसः विनाशेन मृत्युं तीर्त्वा सम्भूत्यामृतमश्नुते। ॐ हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम् तत्त्वं पूषन्न पावृणु सत्यधर्माय दिष्टये ॐ पूषन्नेकर्षेयमसूर्यप्राजापत्यव्यूहरश्मीन् समूहतेजो यत्ते रूपं कल्याणतमन्तत्ते पश्यामि योऽसावसौ पुरुषः सोऽहमस्मि ॐ वायुरनिलममृतमथेदं भस्मान्तगुं शरीरम् ॐ क्रतो स्मर कृतज्ञ स्मर क्रतो स्मर कृतज्ञ स्मर ॐ अग्नेनय सुपथाराये अस्मान् विश्वानि देववयुनानि विद्वान् युयोध्यस्मज्जुहुराणमेनो भूयिष्ठान्ते नम उक्तिं विधेम ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः
Jai Shri Krishna, everybody. So yesterday we had done the importance of the Upanishads in the light of Sri Aurobindo. We read a passage from Sri Aurobindo. And then we did the importance of the Isha Upanishad. Just to brief you that Sri Aurobindo has said, if all the spiritual literature of Bharat were lost for some reason, just the first sentence of the first verse would be enough to save our culture. So we did that first verse. It took us an hour or more just doing the first verse. In brief, I'll go through the first verse so that there's a continuity when we start the second verse. So we had done the first verse, which says, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. So this whole Jagat, this whole universe is a manifestation of the divine. The divine is not like an artist who's picked up a canvas and some paints from outside and some oil and done this work. It's not his creation. This whole universe is not his creation. It is his extension. It is his becoming. He has become this universe. And then when he saw and he became this universe, he says, wow, this is really different from me. The perfect became the imperfect. So he says, this is not enough, because this imperfect cannot again become the perfect till the perfect himself is seated within. So he then became many. Sa kamayed bahusyam, they say in the Vedas. And then he became many. And he impregnated this habitat with himself, the perfect self. Each one of them, another example that we had talked about, is that like there is a river, and in the river there are bhavars, eddies. So each eddy is in itself unique. Some eddy will be taller, some will be shorter, some will be bigger. So each eddy is unique, yet it is part of the river. It will never be separate from the river. Similarly, each one of us is a unique manifestation of the divine. But we are all one, united one in him, right? So Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. So the divine has has inhabited this, he has become this and he has inhabited it, right? Yat kincha jagatyam jagat. And this jagat is not just a manifestation like that. They are concentric circles. There's you, then there's your family, then there's your state, your country, your continent, this earth, then the solar system, the expanding galaxies, and he's become all this, and he's inhabiting all this in his perfect form, right? And then in the second line, he says, he gives us the art of living. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. So now how do you live your life? By offering to him everything again and again. Tena tyaktena. And but when you offer, you do not lose the charm of acting, because sometimes when we offer, we say the कर्मण्येव अधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन, that result में हमारा right नहीं है, then people lose the charm to act. So then Krishna says in that very second line, says, but do not get attached to inaction. Similarly here he says, action is really important, but how should the action be done? As in offering to him. And once you've offered, you must learn to enjoy. Enjoy what is left over, uchchishta, right? Tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma grida kasya svidhanam. You should wish to live 100 years. This life of ours is a blessing of the divine. And why should we in a hurry to leave this life? The Isha Upanishad is saying very clearly, ma grida kasya svidhanam. We spoke about it, that we should not lust after any other person's possession. Yeah, we did it. We should not lust after anyone else's possession. Who does this all belong to? It all belongs to the divine. And if we have become wide enough, when we have become wide enough, we realize that all this is possessed by us only. Because we are joyful in the possession of everybody, because we are all. Right? This is what we have done in very, very brief, the first verse. Today we'll be doing the second verse and maybe the third verse. Kurvanne veha karmani jiji vishesh chatam samaham evam tvai nanyathe tosti na karma lipyate nare. And then that is explained, doing verily works in this world, one should wish to live 100 years. Thus, it is in thee, and not otherwise than this, action cleaves not to a man. So in the second verse, first line, the Rishi is saying, Kurvanne veha karmani jiji vishesh chatam samaha. The Rishi says that by doing works, and he stresses on this by using the word eva, or indeed, by doing works indeed. By doing works indeed and not by refraining from them. One should wish to live 100 years. Jiji vishesh chatam samaha. The stress of the word eva gives the force, the strength, and the energy and amplitude to the concept of doing works. It is important to go on doing works till the last breath and not refraining from them. Living in this world and not trying to escape from this world, right? Now we'll read the footnote on the same page. Kurvaneva. The stress of the word eva gives the force, doing works indeed and not refraining from them, right? But now the question arises, how should the works be done? And that he has already told us in the first verse. We'll just go through it. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. We've discussed it in quite detail, that we should do works by renunciation is the word used by Sri Aurobindo, which means by remembering him, by offering to him whatever works we are doing, and inviting him into all that we are doing. Why? So that we can enjoy bhunjita. Now, what is the science behind offering? What is the science behind offering all our works? Can somebody tell me? What could be the science behind offering our works to the divine? That's one of the most important things. Because once we've invited him into it, we will want to do it to the best of our effort, right? When we offer our works with utter sincerity, not just maybe in the beginning, what happens when we offer, it is very mechanical. That I've offered it, I offer to you, and kadak se we do the work. But when we make it a habit and we go on and on and on, sincerity starts peeping into our offering. And when we whatever work we are doing, if we have succeeded in it, then there'll be no ego. Why? Because we had offered it to him. And if it has become a success, it's because of his grace that it has become a success. And if we fail, there will be the pinch of the pain will be much lesser, because it was his will that this I made my effort, but I have not succeeded. But that is his will. I had offered the result to him. Then the ego is not there, and the fear is not there, and the pain, the grief of failure is not there, right? So when we offer our works with utter sincerity and we invite him into the works, then what happens is we strive to do our works with complete skill. Remember what the Gita had said when the Gita gives one of the many definitions of yoga. Gita says yoga karma sukaushalam, right? That yoga is doing our works with utmost sincerity. And then he says that don't only offer the works. Remember that the attraction to do a particular work, कि यही मेरे को करना है, that attraction to do some particular work, that also has to be given up. Sometimes we get very attached to our work. But that attachment also, we should keep loosening the knot slowly and steadily. Because someday, suppose the work is taken away from us, then it will really hurt us because we got too attached to our work. So even that attachment to the work, a particular work, should be loosened gradually, right?
Is it something to do with giving up of doership?
Given up our doership, absolutely. So gradually, the action itself will be experienced as it's done by a power much greater than us. Because when we keep offering our works to him, we keep inviting him into the works, what happens? Gradually, very gradually, we start experiencing a force that is working through us. That I'm not doing it, it's just happening. And I was not wanting to do it, but it just happens. And that experience of a power doing that work through you is a very beautiful experience that the rishis have spoken about. And we too will definitely reach that point someday in our life. One sees oneself being used as an instrument by that power. Action actually is originating from whom? Whose Shakti is doing whatever action? It is his Shakti. एक पलक भी नहीं झपकती है बिना उनके force के बिना. It is his Shakti that is making it happen, right? So Shakti is going on doing that action, but because of the distortion of our desires and ego, we start thinking, yeah, this is me who's doing it. But that distortion has to be taken care of, has to be set right again, right? We have to do a rebooting of our computer. And it is only and only by connecting back to Shakti, by offering back what we are doing, offering him whatever we are doing, remembering him into it. And let us now take a few examples so that we are able to relate it to our life. What all can we offer? Suppose you're coming here for an interaction on Isha Upanishad. Before sitting in the car, you offered, let thy will be done. When I was preparing, I've been continuously remembering, Mother, Mother, let thy will be done. Yet sometimes, there's a lot of things happening. Then one sits down, one feels that, the connect seems to have gone. Then I looked at Mala. I said, Mala, I'm feeling a little She said, just close your eyes. And the mother is so sweet. You remember, and she comes right back, you know. That's the way the divine is for us. It's always there. It's only हमारी तरफ से थोड़ी ढील है. तो वो ढील को थोड़ा टाइटन करना पड़ेगा. And वो हैबिट से होगा. बार बार लगातार याद करते जाएंगे. तो it will really have an effect. Of course, people say कि japa is very good. Japa is good, but we have to make sure that the japa doesn't become mechanical. When it becomes mechanical, it will take much longer. We have to, this habit of offering what we are doing keeps reminding us at the time of the action. Now, this was a physical action that you're going somewhere for a talk or whatever. Suppose you're having a discord with your child or your grandchild or your spouse. What about them? But that's something, that's an action being done by our emotional level. That too has to be offered. That time also one has to remember and say, Mother or God or Krishna, whoever you remember, I remember you and I'm offering, I'm really angry with my husband. I'm absolutely livid, mad with anger. So now what do? I offer it to you. Let thy will be done, not mine.
You know, that comes from your mind. Sometimes you feel like it's not good. Should have thought. This is not the right thought. Then that too also,
Yes,
according to what you have
because
explained us all these years.
yes,
Maybe मैं आपको ही slow करती हूँ.
because who will clean it? That he has the power to clean the filthiest of our thoughts. And everybody's mind, there are times when the very great negativities come into our mind. Thoughts which we don't like at all. How could it come? But it has come. Where will it go? कहाँ जाएगा चढ़ाने के लिए? तेरा है तुझ पे चढ़ाऊंगी. Remind me if I can find that poem. There's a poem which I've written on this. So if that thought has come, it has come now because of the distortion of my mind. But I need purification. Where will I go with this thought? I'm offering it back to you because only you can clean it. So we offer even those thoughts. I'm going to fight with my husband. I offer it to you. You speak through me. Now you see what you've done? You've linked yourself, your emotions to him. And then you're going to do that jhagda. So that will help, no? Because channelize कर दिया आपने और चैनल किया तो वहां चैनल से तो कुछ अच्छा ही आएगा, वहां से तो कुछ गड़बड़ आ ही नहीं सकता. And the ego, maybe a lot of our ego will have चढ़ जाएगा, right? Similarly, this first we talked of the physical offering, then it is the emotional offering. Then what about the mental? एक idea आया. Ab that idea also has to be offered. Gita said, Anjali, you have to do the Isha Upanishad. And I said, हाँ, we'll do it. And Gita, abhi dates bata do. Gita ne dates bata di, मैंने हाँ कर दिया. Then I said, oops, I have no tayari. And the next 7 days, I have no time. What will I do? I had something. Then I just, what can you do? But remember him and say, पार लगा देना. अब तो बोल दिया है. So thoughts also have to be offered. Every kind of thought. Good, bad, ugly. Right? So thoughts, emotions, anger, jealousies, everything, actions, everything has to be offered at every level. It is only by connecting back to Shakti, by offering back what we do to the soul, that we may actually someday be able to actually experience that pure energy or Shakti using us as her instrument. Someday we will be able to do that. And that is becoming the Nimitta Matra. Like Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, Nimitta Matra Bhava Sabyasachi. So look, when we watch consciously, when we're looking at some leaves in a tree and they're swinging with the motion of the wind, or we're watching a squirrel, the squirrel is frisking about in the branches. What do we notice? We notice a kind of a delight in the leaves with the wind. It's dancing with the wind. And we see a similar delight in the squirrel, right? What is this delight? This delight is a pure experience of that energy, that Shakti. The leaf is experiencing that Shakti and it's dancing in that. The squirrel is experiencing that Shakti, flowing through it. What is stopping us from experiencing the joy that that Shakti is giving to us? Because it's flowing through us all the time, no doubt. Can anybody doubt it even for a second? That that Shakti is not flowing through me. If that Shakti were not flowing through us, we would not even be able to, एक पलक जैसे मैंने बोला नहीं झपकेगी. When that is anyway flowing through us, what is stopping us from experiencing that delight? And whatever is stopping us from experiencing that delight, that ego, that desire, उसको अर्पण करने में कितना टाइम लगेगा? अर्पण ही तो करना है. He's not coming and taking away our life from us, or the pleasures that we seek in the physical pleasures that we have. He's not taking anything away. He's only saying, मुझे याद कर लिया करो. जो कुछ कर रहे हो मुझे याद कर लो. What is he asking us for? That's all, right? Now I'll just quote a few verses from the Gita. In chapter 9, verse 24 of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, and it's there in your reference notes, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvenata shyavanti te. It is I myself who am the enjoyer and the Lord of all sacrifices, but they do not know me in the true principles, and hence they fall. See, he's saying कि मैं ही हूँ भोक्ता. I am the bhokta in you, and I am the Lord of all the sacrifice that you are going to do. I am that Lord of that sacrifice, but they do not know me in the true principle, and that is why they fall. So let us make an effort to know him, to be him, to connect with him. And he's given us the faculty to be able to connect with him. He's given us everything that we can connect with him. The aspiration he's given, he's sitting here right within us. The Agni, the soul within us, is the flame of aspiration, which is always burning upwards. It's always upwards, looking up towards the divine. So he's given us all that we need to connect to him. Ab that will within us, he is left to us. Will तेरा है. सब मैंने तुम्हें फैकल्टी दे दी जिससे तुम मेरे से कनेक्ट कर सकते हो. But अब वो will तुम्हारी होनी पड़ेगी that yes, I will connect. I want to connect. I want to do it. The belief that I believe that this is the path, right? And the sooner we experience him as the real enjoyer, bhokta, and as the master of this yajna of life, the sooner we offer to him as samidha, as an offering, all that we are doing in life, the sooner will the force, the knot of our ego, be transformed into the force of divine action. All that we have to do is want it. The will should be there. And after the will, the effort, Aryaman, right? Actually, we have to understand that this life itself is a yajna. The first verse of the Rig Veda says, Om Agnim Ide, Purohitam Yajnasya. Om Agnim Ide. That Agni is within us. And the Rishi is saying, the first verse of the Rig Veda, he says, Oh Agni, burn, burn, become bigger and bigger. Envelope me. When the bigger the soul, the psychic being becomes, our nature gets transformed. So we are, and how does a fire become big? Tell me, when you light a fire outside, how does it become big? When we put a samidha in it, it becomes larger. What is the samidha? Our actions, our emotions, our thoughts, all the negativities and positivities of our life, all those are samidhas which we have daily in our basket. This basket of ourself has millions of samidhas in a day. So what is stopping us from offering it? How simple. It could not have been simpler, the yajna, right? ये समिधा को खाली इस अग्नि, अग्नि भी यही है, कोई फायर नहीं जलानी है, टेम्पल यही है, अग्नि यही बैठी है, समिधा हमारे एक्शंस हैं, हमारे थॉट्स हैं, हमारे इमोशंस हैं, उनको बस याद करके उस अग्नि में डालना है, जिससे कि वो अग्नि becomes bigger and bigger and bigger.
That curse that we do without offering and renouncing it will become a bondage.
Yeah, it's coming. It's a part of the second verse. Yeah. Na karma lipyate nare. It's coming in the second line. So, since the soul is right here, the Samhita is with us, this is the deeper esoteric meaning and significance of the yajna that was spoken about in our Vedas. But unfortunately, this has got reduced to karma kanda. Of course, this outer havan also has its effect. It's not that the outer havan will not have its effect. It's just going to be much, much slower and much more gradual. But when we do this within ourselves, it's going to be speedier. You can see that, right? So now the Isha Upanishad is saying, only when we do works in this manner and not otherwise. Evam tvai nanyathe tosti. Only when we do works in this manner, very clearly it is saying, and not otherwise, that we will not get bound by our actions. We will not get stuck to our possessions. Na karma lipyate nare. Sarita, that answers your question. Sri Aurobindo says, thus it is in thee, and not otherwise than this, action cleaves not to man. Now the word cleave. Cleaves is a very peculiar word, and it has two meanings. The first meaning is stick, yes, which is used here. Action sticks not to man. And the second meaning of cleave is to divide by cutting. But here, lipyate means to stick. So action will not stick to us, means we will not get bound by the action. Generally, people are scared, अब हम नहीं फंसना चाहते हैं अपने बच्चों और पोतों में, पोते पोतियों में फंस जाएंगे तो हमारा, I'll get bound. But if you do it as an offering and you give love, the more love you give, the better it is, because love is a way to the divine. But without the sticking to it, with not doing it by offering, but doing it with offering, right? Remembering him, inviting him into that action. One should not become neeras. हम नीरस हो गए हैं, हम तो अब सब कुछ से कट गए हैं. That is not going to help. One doesn't have to cut off from anybody. In fact, one has to be attached, but to everybody equally. When one is attached equally to everybody, then there is no binding. The binding happens कि ये मेरा, ये मेरी family. I'm bound to them. Then the binding happens, right? And normally our actions create reactions, which lead us to further actions. And then we get caught and bound in a sort of a vicious circle. Lipyate nare. But Isha Upanishad is guaranteeing, it's so beautiful. Na karma lipyate nare, it is clearly, boldly stated that if you do action, tena tyaktena bunjita, that action will not stick to you. You will not get bound by that action. What kind of a guarantee it is giving to us? Which includes, but what actions? It includes our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. If it is hounding you, and if it is sticking to you, please offer it. Because there is no other way better than offering to open the knot of the past. Because the past sometimes hounds us. We've made a mistake or somebody else has made a mistake. And I have a गांठ. हमने किसी के साथ गांठ बांध ली है. अब वो गांठ हमसे अगर नहीं खुल रही है, ask the divine. Offer that गांठ to the divine and say, please loosen it. किसी के साथ में भी वो लेकर के क्यों चलना है? See, yeah. Yeah, it's just another word. See, when we have, in the kitchen, we have garbage collected in the day. And you keep it for 2 days and the kitchen stinks and it brings disease. But what about the गांठ जो हमने अपने अंदर रखी है? हम भी तो अपने अंदर कितनी गांठें बांध के रखते हैं, उससे हमारा मन मुटाव है, उसने मेरे लिए ये किया, उसने मेरे अगेंस्ट ये किया. वो सब is going to create diseases inside. And we have Agni right within us. Why should we keep them? Let us just keep offering and cleaning ourselves. Right?
Divine has done such a beautiful act. Like, do we ever say कि मैंने अपना digestion किया है, मैंने अपना assimilation किया है, मैंने अपनी breath की है? Because Divine has said, this I am taking from you, I am doing that work for you. And there is no I-ness in that at all.
So
I have done your existence, I have taken care of. You know,
Yes.
every little, to keep us in a life force, the Divine is guaranteed it.
Yes.
Now, probably the invitation is now start working with the
Yes.
higher aspects. No?
Very beautiful.
Never that you will ever say कि मैंने अपना digestion किया है, मैंने, so even my breath.
Very beautiful. Very beautifully said. Just in case for our people on the online platform, Geeta gave a very beautiful example. And she said that we never say कि मैंने अपनी सांस ली है या मैंने अपना डाइजेशन किया है या मैंने अपने लंग्स से ब्लड को क्लीन किया है या मैंने अपनी किडनी से ये काम करा है. Because God has taken care of all this already. He has given us a platform कि ये तो तुम्हारा मैं I'm taking care. Now you do आगे काम. Very beautiful thought. Thank you.
Her question is, that beautiful song absorb their
जीवन का. हाँ.
So I think that
Yeah. Yeah, but सौंपना एक बार नहीं है. दिन में हजारों बार सौंपना पड़ेगा. तब फिर ऑफरिंग पूरी होएगी, है ना?
Digestion and assimilation and everything, yet you have to take care of yourself, by eating right and
Yes, yes. Although he's taking care of our body internals,
yeah.
but if we are not taking care of our health and we are not eating right, वो बोलती है ना, my sister always says, she says 3 इंच की जुबान के लिए, के टेस्ट के लिए, वो जो माइल्स ऑफ आंतड़ी है, उसको तकलीफ दे देंगे, बट वो 3 इंच की जुबान को स्वाद अभी मिलना चाहिए. और वो टेस्ट कितनी देर का होता है? अभी टेस्ट हुआ और गया. एंड तकलीफ किसको दी? शरीर को. तो शरीर
भगवान ने संभाल लिया ना,
कब तक संभालेगा? अगर हाँ, he's managing it. Yeah, but for how long he'll manage? So even in chapter 3, verse 9 of the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna says, because we're talking of offering just now, right? Yagyarthat karmanun yatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Shri Krishna says here that by doing works otherwise than for sacrifice, otherwise than for offering, this world of men is in bondage to works. Even in the Gita, he's saying the same thing, that if we do works otherwise than for offering, otherwise than for sacrifice, then this world of men is in bondage to works. And then he says, for sacrifice, for offering, practice works, O son of Kunti, becoming free from attachment. So even in the Gita, he is reiterating the same thing, right? Again, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, this is my favorite verse 27, Shri Krishna says, if you all know it, say it together. Let's all say it together. Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yat juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you enjoy, whatever you offer or sacrifice, whatever you give, whatever energy of tapasya, of the soul's will, or effort you put forth, make it an offering to me. So whatever you are doing, whatever you are eating, whatever you are drinking, whatever you are thinking, whatever you are feeling in your emotions, whatever you are doing, whatever tapasya you're doing, make it all an offering to me. See, let's give a very simple example. When we were little children, why did we feel so free? Because all our responsibilities were handed over to our parents. और हम तो मस्त घूमते थे. Then what happened? We grew older. Parents became older. And we forgot that we still have a parent, the Lord. And he's saying कि तू मुझे दे ना. But हमारा ego says नहीं, मैं कर लूंगा. I'll manage. So let's dhila karo our ego and offer and offer and offer. इससे simple तो कुछ और हो नहीं सकता है. And when we are able to offer all to the Lord and do our actions at the same time with complete skill that is possible from us and with as much perfection as possible from us, then our personal responsibility ceases and we feel liberated in His liberty, because He is free and we've handed over our responsibilities to Him. So we become liberated, right? And it is not our soul, but our lower nature, our apara prakriti that gets bound. Soul to free hai. It is our lower nature that is getting bound. Once we start identifying with who we really are, hum hai kaun? I am that which will continue in the next life, and in the next life, and in the next life. So who is continuing? It is the soul that is continuing the journey. When we start identifying ourselves with our soul, when we recognize our true self as the soul and start identifying ourselves with our soul, then also this bondage will dissolve. That is also needed at the same time for dissolving this bondage. Therefore, the way to freedom is not in action. It is not in action, but to stop identifying ourselves with the movement and recover instead our true identity in the self of things, who is their Lord. That identification is important. Now we have to see, in your books, you can see what Adi Shankara has to say for the second verse. Let's read the second footnote. Shankara reads the line, "Thus in thee, it is not otherwise than thus. Action cleaves not a man." Now, how does Shankara interpret karma? He interprets karmani in the first line in the sense of Vedic sacrifices, which are permitted to the ignorant as a means of escaping from evil actions and their results and attaining to heaven. But the second karma, in exactly the opposite sense, evil action. This is the way he is explained. I'll explain it further. The verse, he tells us, represents a concession to the ignorant. The enlightened soul abandons works and the world and goes to the forest. The whole expression and construction in this rendering becomes forced and unnatural. The rendering I give, which is Sri Aurobindo saying this, the rendering I give seems to me the simple and straightforward sense of the Upanishad. Adi Shankara is telling us that the enlightened soul abandons works or actions and goes to leaves the world and goes to the forest for meditation and for higher life. Now he says, in the second verse, the first karmani, he says that this karmani is the Vedic sacrifices. Those karmas are allowed to the ignorant man who is not going to the forest. So then he has to do something. Then he should be doing the Vedic sacrifices. He should continue to go on doing the Vedic sacrifices, yagya karo, havan karo, isab karo, so that at least he will be away from the wrong actions. Now, in the second line, he uses the karmani as evil action. Kurvan neve karmani, he says, is written for the ignorant person who wishes to keep on living in this world, right? And he says, you should be doing yogic yagyas and sacrifices and havans, so you are away from evil actions. But the second karma, in the second line, he interprets in exactly the opposite sense. He says, na karma lipyate nare, he says that all actions are evil. And therefore, everybody who wants to really escape from this world must abandon all action. And only when you abandon all action, only then you will get liberated. This is Adi Shankara's explanation. And Sri Aurobindo says that this whole expression and construction in this rendering becomes forced and unnatural. And he says the rendering I give to you seems to me the simple and straightforward sense of the Upanishad.
So can anyone just change the meaning entirely so differently? I mean, won't the meaning be the same for the video? I mean, his verse is like, I mean, his version is totally different, Shankara's.
Yeah, because the words are such that they can be interpreted in any way, no? Now, if action, he says that action here means evil action. What can we do? Adi Shankara is not there anymore that we can question him and have a Shastrarth, right? And the whole thought was that all this world is an illusion, so you should get away from it. But then he has to understand that anyway, even if you have to live and breathe, you are doing action. Even a stone lying on the road is doing action. There's motion inside the very nucleus and the atoms and protons of the stone. Everybody is doing action. You can never be inactive. So since you are going to do action, you might as well do action the way it has been told to us in the Isha Upanishad. Right? Tena tyaktena bhunjitha. That is the way you should do action. So there anyway cannot be any inaction. As long as we are living and breathing, there cannot be inaction. There's a verse from the Bhagavad Gita which explains explicitly what action and inaction are. In chapter 3, verse 5, Sri Krishna is saying, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karmakrit karyate yavashah karma sarvah prakritir jair gune. For none stands even for a moment not doing work. Everyone is made to do action helplessly by the modes born of Prakriti. In chapter 3, verse 8, Sri Krishna states, Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma yayo ya karmanaha sharira yatra pichatena prasiddhed karmanaha. Do thou do controlled action. Now, unfortunately, this has been explained by another group that you only do the action that is absolutely necessary for you. But Kirit uncle said, no, you have to do action that is controlled action, according to Sri Aurobindo. Do controlled action, action that has been controlled by your mind and that has been offered. For action is greater than inaction. Even the maintenance of your physical body cannot be affected without action. He's saying clearly here, the Gita, that even keeping our body alive through eating, sleeping, other necessary activities are actions. The body can never be inactive. Sri Aurobindo says in Thoughts and Aphorisms, and I'm quoting, the love of inaction is a folly, and scorn of inaction is a folly. There is no inaction. The stone lying inert upon the sands, which is kicked away in an idle moment, has been producing its effect on the hemispheres. Even a stone lying inert on the road is producing its effect on the hemispheres. So what are we talking? Can we ever be inactive? Even a stone is not inactive. So what are we trying to do that leave action and just do havan and pujan? That's not going to do. We have to live our life, but live it in the way Isha Upanishad tells us, right? Action is shunned by some people because it seems to be inconsistent with freedom. But this is true only of those actions that are driven by desire. Sri Aurobindo says, desire kahan se aati hai? Where does desire come from? Anybody? Ego say desire comes from the ignorance which is seeking delight in the object and not looking at the Brahman within the object. The divine has become this whole Srishti and he has placed himself inside that. So when that beautiful Upanishad, not for the wife not for the husband does the wife love the husband, but the sake of the Brahman in the husband. You know which Upanishad is it? Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. When Rishi Yagyavalkya is talking to his wife and he's giving knowledge to his wife, he says that you must love me for the sake of Brahman in me. So if we reach that point, then the desire cannot start becoming ढीला होने लगता है, right?
Also, as he said in the, I think the first paragraph itself of the explanation, that the central thought of the Upanishad is reconciliation, basically oneness. So the radical solution for desire is that oneness. So if you are one with something, not going to desire it, because you already possess it. Possess it by the fact of being one with it. There is no need to desire. If you are hankering after something very strongly, and you can remember that you are already one with it. So if you're already one, if you can remember that you're already one with it, if you're one with it, you're never going to desire it in the first place, and the joy that you will get by that sense of oneness, that consciousness, will be far greater than the joy that you will get by, trying to possess and actually possess that. This is what he says.
Absolutely. Yesterday also we said the same thing, that once we expand ourselves, we talked about sukha and dukkha. When we expand ourselves, Varuna, we talked about Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman and Bhaga. What is Varuna? Expansion. Expand ourselves. Then we start experiencing that oneness, that unity. In that unity, there is no other. So what if that person has a BMW or a Merc? I too have it because I and he are one.
I interpret it slightly differently. I feel that if you become one with the universe, you're one with the universe, you aspire, and then you say, look, I aspire, but he's experiencing it. I and he are the same, he will give it to you. Why is it that in all the explanation we talk about oneness, and at no stage does it come that he will handle everything for you? He says, if you see the Gita towards the last, you always say that you remember me all the time and I'll give it to you. I will do everything for you. That's when we did the Gita sessions in the 18th, in the last part, it comes very strongly that you just become my beloved and I'll do it for you. But when the explanation comes saying that you will experience it, the explanation is that no. Somebody else has the BMW, you don't get it. Because you feel one with him. I feel that's an interim step.
Okay.
If you are one with the Lord, He will give it to you.
That's right.
Yeah. Why is it that nobody, so the children also don't aspire for our scriptures? Nobody, because it says that, Arey yaar, you'll never get it. Somebody else gets it. So he said, let mommy, daddy have a call. All the lecture is eligibility 50 plus.
There is no question of not getting. It's not a question of not getting.
What I'm saying is that if you interpret, just now
if you
said,
interpret.
the interpretation
Yes.
was, she asked a question, he said, look, there's nobody to ask, but we are sitting together, Shri Aurobindo,
No,
and you are there.
in that you can say, I thought, but I didn't interrupt it, ki neither is there the word sacred before the word karmani. Karmani simply means works. Karma simply means work. Where is the adjective evil or where is the adjective sacred? It is not there. I'm sorry to say, but it is thrusted into the interpretation, and it's all right. Everybody, there will come an element of subjectivity when you are explaining something. And let us, also realize when Shankaracharya is writing this in the 8th century, the Upanishad itself has been written 2000 or 3000 years before that. So much time has gone, and yeah. So that element of subjective, see, everybody is conditioned in a certain way, isn't it? Shankaracharya is born in Kerala, he's born into a Brahmin family. India is dominated by Buddhism. The Karma Kanda that is happening in India, there is a lot of corruption happening in that. So the circumstances of his life, how can they not condition his thinking? How can he be completely objective about what he is interpreting the scripture as? So that is like, a more rounded way to look at this.
Yeah, actually, I have this bit of confusion in my mind that the Isha Upanishad says, enjoy everything as with oneness, with a feeling of oneness. But the Bhagavad Gita says that you have to do your duty and do what you have to fight for what is yours. So how does one come to decide should I just keep looking and enjoying something that should have been belonging to me has been taken away by somebody, and should I be
if you are feeling the oneness, it's the consciousness of Brahman, it's that consciousness of unity that you basically feel. Okay. If Arjuna is made to kill Duryodhan,
He is killing him with the consciousness that this is also me. But this Duryodhan is in a lower state of consciousness. I am united with him, and therefore, by killing him, I am doing him a favor by releasing him from that lower state of consciousness. So you are acting from a state of oneness, but you are doing what is necessary for the betterment of that which is stuck at a lower level.
Also,
I mean, for example, like today, if we are Hinduism is in a like we are having people who are trying to take away what actually belongs. Is like in India, their Hindus are being in a bad shape. Shouldn't we be fighting back? Or
of course, we should be fighting. Each one of us should be fighting back. Each one of us should be raising our voices. And 1 minute, the Gita does not say that do your duty. Never. This is a misinterpretation of the Gita. And Arjuna had never forgotten his duty. Like people say, वो अपना धर्म भूल गया था. Arjun अपना धर्म कभी भी नहीं भूला था. And the Gita is not teaching us or Arjuna to do his duty. The basic point only Sri Aurobindo has explained. Why the Gita was enunciated by Sri Krishna to Arjun. It was, and you all must remember, each one of you must remember, that Gita was said so that we remember that there is a divine will for each one of us, a unique divine will at every moment, unique for each one of us. And it is our duty to be able to connect to that divine will and to become that perfect instrument through which the divine will can just take part through me. And that is the point where Arjuna was led to in the 18 chapters. It took that long for Sri Krishna to bring Arjun to that point. Arjun had never forgotten his duty. He was never told to do his duty. It was in the initial stages, he was told about Kshatriya and that you will. But basically, what did Sri Krishna take him to? Sri Krishna took him to the point that he became that instrument through whom Sri Krishna could do the work. And after that, if you see in the war, even if he had a question, he would go back to Krishna and say, now what should I do? When he said, kill Karna, he says, but ye adharma hai. He says, you have to kill Karna because that is the right. And he did it without questioning after the first question. Only once he questioned. And similarly for all the others that he made him do. Because adharma had to be wiped out. But adharma will keep coming back again. The whole point of the Gita was not to kill Kauravas only. Yeah. The point of the Gita is to give to mankind that point that you have to become an instrument of the divine. And to become the instrument of the divine, you have to understand that the divine has a unique will for you at every moment. And for reaching that point, we have to, Sri Krishna says, Yad karoshi yadashnasi, keep connecting with me. Whatever you're doing, keep connecting with me. Keep offering to me. अपने धागे को, अपना हॉटलाइन को इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग करो कि मैं जो भी बोल रहा हूं तुम्हारे को उस मोमेंट पे तुमको सुन रहा है. वो करते 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 बार बार ऑफर करते करते हमारी हॉटलाइन उनके साथ में एकदम परफेक्ट बन जाएगी. और वो जो हमारे थ्रू कराना चाहते हैं वो कैसे ना कैसे वो आपके थ्रू करा ही देंगे. बट वो उस लाइन को एकदम क्लीन करने के लिए एंड कांस्टेंट करने के लिए, कंटिन्यूअस करने के लिए, कॉन्शियस करने के लिए, दिस इंपॉर्टेंट 3 C's, कंटिन्यूअस, कॉन्शियस and constant. For doing this, we have to continuously, consciously, and what was the third word? Constantly. We have to keep offering and keep remembering him.
The anchor of Bhaga, when you bought your presentation yesterday, anybody would say that you become one with the Lord, you're always at his feet, you do every action in complete flow of bringing him within, and yet you would have Bhaga. And you're saying, look, somebody else has it. You say, very good, everybody, you as a community should expand. In a country which progresses, where everybody works towards a goal and a strive for that, everybody in the country and the whole economy moves, right? I think Bhaga would give you whatever I at least assume.
Not necessarily. It is possible that he gives it to you. It is possible that it doesn't come to you. So our prayer has to be, let thy will be done for me, not mine. I pray for a BMW. I pray for a farmhouse. I pray for this piece of jewelry for a woman or whatever it is that you want, or a laptop. But then my prayer has to be, oh Lord, I pray to you for this. But my final prayer is, let thy will be done, not mine. So वो आ गया तो उनकी ग्रेस, नहीं आया तो वो भी उनकी कृपा.
पर आ जाएगा. It will happen.
हाँ.
Not the way we look at what we think is the right thing for us. That yoga kshema.
हाँ.
One says.
हाँ, yoga
How
kshema.
much, what you need and
What is right for you will come to you. Definitely come to you.
Just again, think about, again, look at it. 100%, you're coming to this fourth step when you're 100% one with him. You are on one hand, otherwise do not reach there. When you went through the presentation, you said, look at the 4 points where you come. First, you expand yourself. You're no longer about the self.
Yes, Varuna. You become Varuna and you expand.
You're not thinking of yourself. The
Yes.
second is you are friendship and kinship.
Yes.
Okay. I don't see any difference between all of us.
Yes.
Sitting in this room.
Yes.
I and he speak together and we have tears in our eyes just talking. Why? We're one.
Yes.
Then I expand it further by putting the best amount of effort of whatever is my capability.
Aryaman.
And then you say Bhaga comes and flows.
Bhaga.
And then you say, ये सब भी कर लिया ना, तो भी तुम्हारा नहीं. अरे भाई, तो भी. I mean, like, any spiritual discourse has to take you to fulfillment. You're saying you do all of this, and yet, even if then it's not, you're still with him. You're not losing your connect. All of the 3 steps are in place. And then also you will not flourish.
Of course you will flourish.
So, Baba, that's where I'm coming that I think the journey is that you will be fulfilled.
Yes, but your fulfillment need not necessarily be in the BMW. It may be in because when you reach that point, you may not need the BMW.
It is perspective would have changed.
Yes.
It's changed from the word go. I'm saying that it only says that because you've expanded, your aspiration is that everybody's happy. I'm saying you can never be everybody's happiness if you're not aspiring for your happiness.
Of course, you should. That's why we just said that our prayer has to be that this is what I want. I lay it before you. My prayer I put before you. But my final prayer is, let thy will be done, not mine. What is right for me, for my internal and external progress. My external progress may be in whichever car he thinks is right for me. I want a BMW, but I'm saying, let thy will be done. Right? You want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, regarding the point of Arjuna's duty and what is Krishna will and all that. So, Arjuna's duty as a Pandava or a main warrior for Yudhishthira would be to win the war for Yudhishthira, right? For the Kuru kingdom. But that is not Sri Krishna's ultimate objective. Sri Krishna's political objective in the Kurukshetra war is to establish Yudhishthira as the Samrat of India. He had already done a Rajasuya Yajna in which people had come and paid tribute, and that is where the Duryodhana got offended and all that, right? So, number one, Sri Krishna has that much larger objective. Okay? Again, like in the time of Parshuram, when he killed all the Kshatriyas who had become tyrannical, similarly, if you reach your window, regarding this, he says during the time of the Mahabharata also, there was a great accumulation of kind of dark kind of Kshatriya power. The Kshatriyas had become corrupted. The Kshatriyas had become tyrannical. Okay? So they had to be all brought to one place and finished off in one go. Third thing, there is an aphorism of Vyodudo where he speaks of the 3 strides of Vishnu with regard to human evolution as a totality. The 3 strides are: first is family, second is nation, and third is humanity. Of which he says the second step has been this thing, the third step we are just taking the beginning stages. United Nations and all was a step in that direction. What happens in the Mahabharata war is, at that time still it is the Kula, the family, the English word clan, which is the dominant thing. That step, that stage is over. So the Kulas are being destroyed, but the nation is being created. So India as a nation is created. Yudhishthira is made, this thing monarch, and Shaundo points out that what Sri Krishna achieved at that time, the result of that consolidation of Kshatriya power was this,
that till the time Alexander came in 300 BC, nobody was able to breach India. That is almost 2700 years. It is not a small thing. So we have to see the larger objective of the divine. That is what it is. And of course, as she rightly said, the Gita does not teach you to do your duty. This is a Shyondo say, this is a modern misreading of
Misreading of the
text.
Gita.
This is an Occidental misreading of a thoroughly oriented text. The Gita teaches you only one thing. It is to unite yourself with the divine and do what he wants. Duty and all that is secondary.
And to know that there is a divine will waiting to manifest itself through each one of us. A unique divine will, a unique for you and unique for you. And unique for you at this moment may be different from the will he has for you 10 minutes later. So the connection with him to be constant, continuous, and conscious is very important. So let us read together first and second verses, and then we'll proceed to the third verse.
Isha
Vasyamidam sarvam Vasyamidam sarvam
Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat
Yat kincha jagatyam jagat
Tena Tyaktena Punjitha
Tena tyaktena bhujjita
Ma Pritha Kasya Svidhanam
Magrida kasya svidhanam. All this is for habitation by the Lord. Whatsoever is individual universe of movement in the universal motion, by that renounced, thou shouldest enjoy, lust not after any man's possession.
Urban Neveha Karmani
Neveha karmani
Jiji Vishe Shatam Samaha
jiji vishe chatam samaha
Evam Tvayi Nanyatetoste
evam tvai nanyatetosti
Na Karma Lipyate Nare
na karma lipyate nare. Doing verily works in this world, one should wish to live 100 years. Thus it is in thee, and not otherwise than this. Action cleaves not to a man.
Yanamate Loka
Asurya namate loka
Andhena Tamasavrita
andena tamasavrita
Tanste Pritya Vikachante
tanse pretya bhigacchante
Ye Ke Chatmahano Jana
ye ke chatmahano jana. Sunless are those worlds and enveloped, usko band kar lena. Sunless are those worlds and enveloped in blind gloom, whereto all they in their passing hence resort, who are slayers of their souls. See, after death, the soul with its baggage of unfulfilled desires and with its baggage of ego moves on to other worlds. There are many other worlds, the vital world, the mental world, and other worlds, other than the physical, because physical to chhoot gaya. Once a soul leaves the body, is died. So after 13 days, the soul leaves the physical plane and moves on to other planes. And what does it have to do? There it has to exhaust its desires and the egos that it has left over of the outer personality. This journey is not an easy one. It's quite a tough journey. So these vital and mental worlds may be illuminated if you've done great deeds and you've done really great deeds in your life and you don't have leftover baggage of desires and ego. One may go to the illuminated worlds. But if there's a lot of desires ka baggage and a lot of ego ka baggage, then we may go to dark and sunless worlds, depending on our karmas in the physical life. All depends on our karmas and the baggage that we have collected here. Now, when we become aware of this long-term passage from world to world to world, then we become conscious of the transitory nature of this physical world. We become conscious of the transitory nature of our ephemeral desires, right? The desire for a BMW is also a transitory nature. The bloated ego that we have, मैं, it is so ephemeral. वो मैं जिस चीज का ईगो कर रहा है वो तो कल के दिन एक सेकंड में फिनिश हो सकता है. It is so ephemeral. It is only when we become conscious of the ephemeralness of our desires, of our ego, of the baggage that we are collecting, that we start doing actions consciously in the world. And again, what had we decided how to become conscious? जो हर काम को हम याद करते सब उसको याद करके करेंगे तो फिर अपने आप ही we will become more and more conscious because everything is being offered. And then we will take charge of our passage into the other worlds. And then we will understand that we are going to transit after death to other worlds. वो जब समझ में आ जाएगा ना, when the penny will click, that day will be a great day for all of us. Because while we are living, we think ourselves to be immortal. All of us, whatever our age be, we think, हम तो यही हैं. नहीं है, यहाँ, we don't know tomorrow. So, to become conscious, this method has been given by the Isha Upanishad, right? This verse is the real bearing of the Isha Upanishad. All the rest of the Upanishad is a kind of elucidation of this. See, it is like a scientist, this Rishi Yagyavalkya, who has trodden all the paths of life. He was a grihast. He had 2 wives. So he has experimented upon everything. And then he has concluded that there is only one path. All the other paths will lead to gloom and darkness. Let us read the meaning again of the 3rd verse, and so that we connect with it. Sunless are those worlds, and enveloped in blind gloom, whereto all they in their passing hence resort, who are slayers of their soul. When can we be slayers of our soul? While we are alive. Because that is the time we have the opportunity to give the soul a better passage after death. यहाँ हम वो काम कर सकते हैं. After the physical body is gone, then what can we do? We have done what we could do, and now the soul has to bear that baggage. अभी हमको सही करना है, right? So, because if we don't do that, if we slay the soul now, then later on the soul will have to, the psychic being will have to go through that difficult journey, sunless worlds. Again and again, the sun ke bare mein aayega in the Isha Upanishad many times. We've understood till now, right? See, the 3rd verse tells us that if we do not practice this art of life of doing works as offerings, which include, I'm repeating again and again, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, then we start becoming hurters or slayers of our soul. Even the verse that you read in the painting in my over there, Atma Mukti Prityartham. The moment we try to possess what does not belong to us, we begin to hurt our soul. Our soul has immense potentiality. It even tries to speak to us. We hear its voice sometimes, faintly, and then we suppress it. So we can follow our desires without any guilt, no compunction. So itna suppress kar dete hain that we do not hear the voice. We hear it, we suppress the voice, and then we do things without guilt. Because wo awaaz sunegi to guilty feeling hoega, right? But when we overlook and we cancel the hidden potentiality of the soul, then we also overlook the oneness of that we have been told about, we know about, but we don't want to live in it because the pleasures of the outer personality are so heavy on us that they make us live in a divided consciousness. ये मेरे पास होना चाहिए, ये सब तो मेरा होना ही चाहिए. Then that divided consciousness takes away the possibility, the potentiality that the soul has of living in oneness, right? Let me share with you a story. Once there was an artist in Paris. He was commissioned to paint Jesus as a child. And he was also given, in those days, they were given a commission, ki ye kar dena, and they took their own sweet time in doing it. So he was told, he was given the commission to paint Jesus as a child, and he was also told to paint the Last Supper. So now he started searching high and low for the right apt face for baby Jesus. And he looked high and low, and then he finally found a child who had that beautiful innocence and everything. And he chose that child to portray baby Jesus. Very good. Now, several years later, he decided, अब वो दूसरी painting भी बना ही देता हूँ, Last Supper. So when he started looking for faces for the Last Supper, he started looking for Judas ka face. So now he went to a pub because that's where he would find a Judas more easily. So in the pub, he looked at people and he found that one face which was just right for Judas. And he took him to his studio. And after a few sittings, that person fell at the feet of the artist. So the artist said, "Why are you doing this?" He says that, "You know what, you've made me realize how much I have fallen in life. I was the same child who was chosen for Jesus's face when I was young." So this is a stark example of the wrong dissolution of the soul's potentiality in our outer movement. See, that we all have the potentiality to be innocent, to live that life which is connected to the divine, and live in that happy state where there is only love flowing from us. Because there is nothing greater than love. There is nothing greater than love. But because of our desire to possess and possess and possess, and our ego, these two divide us and separate us from that oneness. We get divided, and then we hurt our soul. We become slayers of our soul. And which worlds we will go to post death of our physical body depends entirely on how we will live our life on earth, here and now. Those who hurt their souls, this verse is saying, they enter into dark, sunless worlds. They can never come out of this unless they learn this art of life. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. And it says very clearly, it is saying, this is the only way, there is no other way. That is what the verse is saying. If we do not follow this path, we will go into worlds of darkness. This is the declaration which Isha Upanishad has made. It gives a very simple way of life, divine life, a true way of life. And if we ever want to come out of this darkness, which one day we all want to, none of us want to live in the dark world, then this is the only path, and this is the art of life. If we give up this path and this mode of action, then there will be great difficulty. Even the Kena Upanishad in the second Khanda, verse 5 says, if one comes not to the knowledge, then Mahati Vinashti. Mahati Vinashti, great is one's perdition. So even Kena Upanishad is saying. And now let's read the footnote so that we understand the word Asurya. We have two readings, Asurya, sunless, and Asurya, titanic or undivine. The third verse is, in the thought structure of the Upanishad, the starting point for the final movement in the last four verses. Its suggestions are there taken up and worked out. The prayer to the sun refers back in thought to the sunless worlds and their blind gloom, which are recalled in the 9th and 12th verses. We'll be doing those verses, you'll come to it. The sun and his rays are intimately connected in other Upanishads also with the worlds of light, and their natural opposite is the dark and sunless, not the titanic worlds. Why has Sri Aurobindo used the titanic worlds? Because sometimes people have translated Asurya as Asura. Ki the worlds of the Asura, the worlds of the Rakshasas, and the worlds of the Pishachas. So there are Asuras, worse than them are the Rakshasas, and the worst are the Pishachas. So just for you to know, Asuras are titans with a large Rajasic ego. Ravan was an Asura. See, the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 16 gives the avagunas of the Asuras and gives the gunas of the Devi, of the Devas. Rakshasas are called giants and Pishachas are called demons. But here in the third verse, the Rishi is not referring to Asuras when he says Asurya. He is referring to the dark and sunless worlds, which will be again referred to later on in verses 9, 12, and 15 to 18. So before closing today's session, let us read together the first three verses.
Ishavasya sarvam
Ishavasya sarvam yat kinchit
jagatyam jagat
jagatyam jagat
tena tyaktena punjitha
tena tyaktena bhunjitha
magritha kasya svidhanam.
magridah kasya svidhanam. All this is for habitation by the Lord. Whatsoever is individual universe of movement in the universal motion, by that renounced, thou shouldest enjoy. Lust not after any man's possession.
Purvan neveha karmani
Kurvanneveha karmani
jiji vishet shatam samaha
jiji vishesh chatam samaha
evam vayit namyathetosti
evan tvai nanyathetosti
na karma lipyate nare.
na karma lipyate nare. Doing verily works in this world, one should wish to live 100 years. Thus it is in thee, and not otherwise than this, action cleaves not to a man.
Asurya namate loka
Asurya namate loka
andhena tamasavritaha
andhena tamasavrita
tamse prityabhigacchante
tanse pretyami gacchante
ye kechatmahano janaha.
ye kechatmahanu jana. Sunless are those worlds, and enveloped in blind gloom, whereto all they in their passing hence resort who are slayers of their souls. Let us do 2 minutes of silence, and then we'll take up question and answers.
The center of gravity for all of us, I think the best example we spoke about was the eddy and the river.
Yeah.
The eddy is all of us.
Hmm.
The eddy things and the whole engagement is with a very limited energy source which is in and around. So in terms of his joy, his enjoyment, everything is the eddy.
Hmm.
The reality is not that. The reality is the river.
Hmm.
The river has its own energy and the eddy is a part of it. And the center of gravity is the river. Isha Upanishad tells us that you have to be the river. You are the river, but you are not aware of it because you've not done the practice of offering everything again and again and again. And as you keep on doing this practice, you slowly, gradually, with the purity of the four paths that you talked about, first you expand, you get experiences that it's not just me. You expand beyond the eddy. You enhance it by then seeing kinship with everybody. You come to that kinship with everybody because You're happy with everybody. You're happy with the other guy's BMW. You feel it's a celebration that their family stepped out. Then you and the community, all the other eddies, you work together. You don't put in your aspirations, you put in aspirations of the larger community. Your brothers, your sisters, your country. You want everybody to come in because you're no longer focused on yourself. You are focused on the larger community. And you put in the best to strive everything all along your offering. You cannot come to step 3 without being the offering instrument. You have to. So you are no longer, you've gone beyond, to come to the stage, you've gone beyond the individual eddy. You are, the center of gravity has already moved. The center of gravity is no longer the individual, it's not the eddy, it is the river. Because you are as happy with the community. Now you come to the fourth part. This is where the question came. When you have reached that milestone, where you're no longer the self, you are the community. Any aspiration of, if you thought of a BMW, not just for you, but the whole community, you were starting with an Alto. At that stage, the Lord and you are one. Everybody gets a BMW. That was my point. That at that stage also you're saying you're still in an Alto. So how do you say that you become one with the universe?
Can you write for one person in that community?
Yeah, I mean, the whole aspiration is if all of us.
First of all, we have to distinguish between an aspiration and a desire. The most important thing is to understand the very difference between an aspiration and a desire.
Aspiration, but giving an example
Of a desire. Of a desire.
I mean,
Exactly. So it is not an aspiration. We have been misusing these terms and mixing them up with each other so easily that we've lost the distinction. It's very important to distinguish between a desire and an aspiration. Like yesterday, you gave the example that I wanted to come here, it was my desire. And if something came on the way, then what was wrong in my desiring? I said that was not a desire. It was an aspiration, a higher goal. But the desire for a BMW, a sari, a farmhouse, a piece of jewelry, a painting, whatever. All these are desires. What is the Gita telling us again and again? What are the two knots that have to be loosened? The knot of desire and the knot of ego. It is not saying that once you become one with all, your desire will be fulfilled. You may. What is our prayer? Our prayer is, let thy will be done. I'm putting my prayer for the piece of jewelry, for the farmhouse, for the BMW, for everything. I'm putting my prayer forward to you. But my final prayer is, let thy will be done, not mine. So then if you're still saying that when I reach the point of bhaga, then I should be able to enjoy what I have desired. No,
Just there. Let's take a pause. When you reach that stage, your center of gravity is no longer the eddy.
At all.
So then the desire is, or even if you call it a desire, then I'll explain it exactly on this one with all of us wanting to be here. Okay, let's take the BMW example and let's take the aspiration of all of us wanting to be here, right? Now, there's a center of gravity in all of us, which are eddies, and all of us who reached at that one particular point, like take all of us now, everyone who's in this room had a different, for whatever reason they wanted to come here.
Yeah.
And all of us were these eddies, but with that desire, you call it an aspiration. We call it an aspiration. Let's take the aspiration. All of us took the aspiration and we reached here. Now, at this moment, at this very moment, all of us are in this spot and all of us have this experience. This is not the individual eddy experience. All of us listening, there's a group of 14 of us, are listening to this Isha Upanishad. The center of gravity of this room is not just the individual eddy
Not
of
at all,
Yogesh.
not at all.
All of us are now on this experience
Yes.
together.
Yes.
And it's happened. Now, each one of us could not have orchestrated this thinking that it had to. It was orchestrated by
By
him.
him. Yes.
And therefore, the orchestration got us to this point.
Yes.
Now take the enlarging point of whatever be the aspiration of multiple people coming together, if he did not individually, in our sense of gravity, center of gravity, want to pull us into this space, and we've come. So even this step of the reason I came down here, even in my eddy, was actually orchestrated by him.
Yes.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here.
Absolutely.
So do you see the two coming together?
Absolutely.
The fact that he orchestrates even the part that I'm coming with my reasons. I may have come with the reason of a BMW, but I am here. Why did he get me here? Because he made me aspire for a BMW and I came here. So you cannot say, oh, but that isn't what was right. I'm here because of that. Think about it. Why did I come? I came here with whatever be my desire. But he orchestrated all of us to come in here with our different reasons, to the point that the eddy in me has a different sense of center of gravity. But he gave me that center of gravity to be here in this moment, to orchestrate all of us to sit here and have this mystical experience.
We still remain at the size of eddy that we are. We haven't become the same size.
The choices are decided by them.
Each one is
At a particular point of time,
Small child.
That's how we decided. Yeah, absolutely.
I want a car. Now the father is going to decide in 4 saal ka, should I give him a toy car or should I give him a BMW? What should I give him? So he said, okay, fine. I think for you right now, I think you deserve this. But you work a little more, you become more responsible. And then when I think the time is right, I will give you what I think is the right thing for you. So the job of the child is to just work on himself and make himself
100%.
more and more.
And I want
100%, because this is what, so I came in maybe with a BMW, but when I heard this magical point, this was the Lord talking through all of us through you. And the Lord said, the right path is to aspire and to always leave it to me. So the course correction happened right there.
Yeah.
It happened. I 100% agree to what you're saying. But you also have to accept that the fact that all of us are eddies coming in differently is also orchestrated.
Absolutely. There's no doubt.
That's the only thing I'm saying.
Okay.
So I completely agree. I completely agree that from this second,
Patrata. And I just want to tell you that when you use the example of Arjun, so Arjun was full of one desire. And it was, what was the question that he asked? What was his problem in taking part in the Mahabharata? When he came to the center, he said, Sena, you take me to the middle of the thing, center. And then he said, I don't want to take part in this. Why? Because he did not want to create a sin for himself. It was his individual desire, not aspiration. It was his desire that मेरे से कोई पाप ना हो कि मैं कहीं hell में ना पहुंच जाऊं. This is what he said. Sri Krishna said that, what are you saying? You're thinking of your individual self. You're not being able to think of the collectivity. And then Sri Krishna got him to the point where he understood that when you offer your work to me, when you've offered it to me, then my energy is doing through you. Then it is not your energy. Then it is not a pap anymore. What was that momentous question of Arjun that brought around the Sri Krishna to give the answer of the whole Gita? He had to give 18 chapters as an answer to one question. Must have been a very momentous question. What was that momentous question? What was that momentous question? That momentous question was that even if I take part in such a sanguinary war, such a bloody war, where I kill my own people, my own grandfather, my own guru, will my actions still remain sinless? Will my actions, there are 3 words, will my actions still remain sinless? Will my actions still remain perfect? Will my actions still remain divine? Divine, sinless, and perfect. Will they remain? Such a question he asked. And उसके आंसर में गीता दिया उन्होंने. And उसके आंसर में उन्होंने समझाया that when you have offered, sincerely offered, start from mechanical offering, but when your actions are sincerely offered and said, let thy will be done, let thy will be done, let thy will be done, then one day you will become that Dhanush who I will hold in my hand. And the work that will be done through you will be arrows that I am shooting through you. So I will become the archer, you will only remain the Dhanush. Dhanush कुछ करता है क्या? कुछ नहीं करता है. फ्लूट कुछ करता है? खाली अपने आप को खाली कर देता है. नो डिजायर, नो ईगो, एकदम पंक्चर्ड, क्लीन. तब कृष्ण अपनी बांसुरी बजाते हैं. धनुष जब परफेक्ट होगा, हम सब धनुष हैं. जिस दिन हम वो परफेक्ट धनुष हो जाएंगे, कृष्ण अपने भुजा में ले लेंगे और प्रत्यंचा जब जब तानेंगे, सीधे वो बाण जाकर के लक्ष्य पे पहुंचेगा. कृष्ण के लक्ष्य पे, हमारे लक्ष्य पे नहीं. वो उनका जो भी लक्ष्य हो.
Duty can be misused, used by different people in different ways.
Absolutely.
I can be a policeman. My duty is to catch the murderer, but not your duty to catch the murderer.
हाँ.
So duty can be changed, can be used in different ways.
What is
It's
kartavya
your
karma?
duty. What is your duty?
Duty, this has to be broad definition of dharma has to be seen. Because duty has to be linked to dharma.
Absolutely. Duty, नहीं, not at all. Dharma does not mean duty. Duty, हम लोग कहते हैं कि भाई हम माँ हैं, तो हमारी ड्यूटी है टुवर्ड्स माय चिल्ड्रन. हम वाइफ हैं, तो हमारी ड्यूटी है टुवर्ड्स माय हस्बैंड. तो these are all duties that we have in our life. और वो सब हमें करनी है. But keeping in mind the dharma. And dharma क्या है? What is the highest dharma? The highest, righteous is one of the many. But what is the dharma? The dharma, उसको एक सेकंड बंद कर दीजिए. जब एक जना बोलता है फिर दीजिएगा. The right dharma, the actual dharma is to become that perfect instrument. To perfect ourselves in every field that we have. To perfect our physical body. Make it as perfect as possible. To perfect our vital emotional body. Make it as vast and full of love and compassion. Varuna and Mitra. Through the body which has become perfect, action. No stopping of action. Continuous action. Whether that action includes being a mother or being a wife or being the housemaster or being whatever.
So our duty is every aspect of our life.
As
Towards perfection, which is our.
no, the dharma, always remember, there is the highest dharma is to become that perfect instrument of the divine. And use all these kartavyas that we have as a mother, as a wife, as a etc. Use them to become that perfect instrument. And that can be done when I'm doing my work for my child or my husband or my mother-in-law or my mother or my sister, or not only selflessly, but as an offering to the divine. That is important. वो selflessly में भी ego आ जाता है. बहुत ego है हाँ, selflessness में बहुत ego है. ये मैं कर रही हूँ उसके लिए. अब वो तो उसका तो कोई है ही नहीं, because हम सब एक हैं. There is only one.
Yes.
हाँ.
No, now this dharma word.
Now you give the mic.
Dharma, as I said, the word is duty. The meaning of the word is duty. Dharma. That is what I said, and you said what it does not mean.
It does not. Dharma does not mean
So,
duty.
I think in human context, when we use the word dharma, when we use the word duty, I think it is dharma there. But dharma जैसे कहते हैं बर्फ है. बर्फ का धर्म क्या है? बर्फ का धर्म क्या है? उसको ठंडा करना है.
Nature.
That is nature.
That is the swabhav, the prakriti of the heart. It's not dharma.
तो हमारी भी तो प्रकृति वही हो गई ना, जैसे बर्फ की प्रकृति है.
नहीं, हमारी प्रकृति, हमारी अभी अपरा प्रकृति में हम जी रहे हैं. I am living in the three gunas. कभी तमस हो जाता है, कभी रजस हो जाता है, कभी सत्वा हो जाता है. Yeah, this is not dharma, this is our प्रकृति. एंड अभी हम अपरा प्रकृति में जी रहे हैं. इस अपरा प्रकृति को हमें परफेक्ट करके त्रैगुण्यतीत बनना है. टू बिकम गो बियॉन्ड द थ्री गुणास. सत्व को भी पार करना है. The dharma is to become that perfect instrument of the divine's will, to know the divine's will at every moment, or to become such an instrument through which the divine will is permanently taking place through you. You.
Then follows Purnama, that mantra that is saying, you know.
So what about it?
So then we become automatically, we become that.
Yeah. Then we become one in that oneness.
So
Yeah. But that's, when we become that perfect instrument,
that's the
then we reach,
dimension there.
yes, when we become the perfect instrument.
Actually, something with that which is not related to this. I was reading somewhere जहाँ word देवता बोलते हैं. So देवता is for अग्नि, वरुण, ये सब देवता है. लेकिन जो विष्णु and शिवजी, they don't come in the देवता category. They are the Paramatma, Parameshwar. They are above the. Is it like that? Rishi.
Because
Taittiriya Upanishad, in Brahma and Valli, they have given 11 levels of bliss basically. So in that, Deva is one level, Indra is one level, then there is Prajapati, which is Brahma, and then there is finally Brahman. So that perhaps maybe a classification दिया है ना. वैसे the word Deva literally means, I mean, you said the word Devata, you didn't say the word Deva.
Yes.
So, but then Lord Shiva is called Mahadeva, so he's a great Deva. So, वो sense में है. As far as, I mean, say Paramatma and all that, what Shiva has said, I can tell you, regarding Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, and this thing. So, conceptually, I mean, if you look at the philosophically and academically, the reality जो है highest, it is defined as Sat, Chit, Shakti, and Ananda. This is how Shri defines it. Vedanta calls it Satchidananda. Tantra is basically all about Shakti. So when you synthesize them, Sat, Chit, Shakti, and Ananda. So it says Brahma is the eternal personality of Sat. Vishnu is the eternal personality of Chit, consciousness. Shiva is the eternal personality of force. Krishna is the eternal personality of Ananda. These are like the four great godheads that and Indra and all these things come over in the hierarchy. What you can do is, it will be a good thing because it gives you a clear idea that when you also evolve to a higher and higher level, what levels you can reach. So read the Taittiriya, Brahma and Valli. This may those 11 levels of basically evolution are.
Thank you, everybody.